Good morning. Welcome to the, probably it won't be our last virtual pre-bid meeting during the pandemic for the 6th Street Southwest from 33rd Avenue to Wilson Avenue pavement, sidewalk, and water main improvements. With me in the conference room is Bob Tobin and Nick and Kyle Baum from Shoemaker Holland Professional Engineers. I'm Lee Tippy. I'm the city's project engineer on this project, and we've got picked up a few names already. Who's joined us from Midwest Concrete?
You have Nick Georgian and Ryan Winkleman.
Nick and Brian, you said?
Ryan.
Brian, okay. All right, and Randy Stefan out of with Chief, right?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I know where your guys are out of. I'm from the same place. And there was one other 563 area code number. Who else is, or is that Midwest Concrete? It's 563, and then the last 3 digits are 588.
That's not us.
That's me. It's Andrew Hasselhoff with Dave Schmidt.
Okay. All right. Well, and I've got John Link as well. So. Okay.
Sure. Hello.
Okay. So I think that's everybody. We'll go ahead and get started. Just a few. If you're if you do have a question, there's a way you can raise your hand. You click on participants, and then there's a screen icon will appear that allows you to ask a question, or you can use the chat function. We'll keep an eye on both for cover any questions. There are any issues between discussion of this meeting and the contract documents. Obviously, the contract documents are going to govern. Briefly, the project is pavement repair and resurfacing and associated water main replacement and storm sewer work on 6th Street from just a little bit south of 33rd Avenue up to the Wilson Avenue intersection. Also includes replacing the signals at both 33rd and Wilson and adding a hybrid beacon at mid block at 29th Avenue. That project is a little over a mile long, about $7.6 million cost opinion. So that's bid letting reminders. It's got again with our COVID restrictions, bids need to be dropped off no later than 11 a.m. to the drop box at the main entrance of the City Services Center here in Cedar Rapids, and then we'll pick them up right at 11 o'clock. Anything that comes in later than that, obviously we can't do anything with. That'll be returned unopened. 11 o'clock, and that's on Wednesday, February 17th. So, and you can get plans through the Cedar Rapids plant Rapids Reproduction. The internet address is http://www.cedarrapidsplanroom.com. So with that, I think most of the rest of you, I think you've all bid Cedar Rapids projects, so I'm not going to bore you with what has to be in the bid submittals, unless you do have a question about it. So with that, I will turn the presentation over to Bob Tobin with Shoemaker Holland.
Just kind of hit some highlights here, I guess. The contract time information. The early start date is May 19th of 21. The late start date is June of 21, June 3rd of 21. Some milestones, if the city's very interested in seeing the project completed this year, and I guess this is the last kind of so if you're able to get everything done this year, there's a $100,000 incentive, and work has to be completed by 10/22 of this year. Again, a no excuses completion date. There's also a if it doesn't look like you'll be able to complete all the work in this year by November 12th of this year, the road needs to be fully open to traffic. And that would include getting to the point of having the intermediate layer of the asphalt down, and looking at generally all the underground work and side road and driveway type work. So the water main, culverts and storm sewer, some sanitary sewer lining and manhole work. And that comes with a $2,000 per day incentive disincentive, with the maximum incentive being $20,000. And then another incentive disincentive if you're unable to complete the work this year. The final completion date is July 24th of 2022. And again, that runs with a $2,000 per day incentive disincentive up to $20,000 on the incentive side. There's also an incentive disincentive for the water main work in the vicinity of the Wilson Avenue and 6th Street intersection. For the crossing of 6th Street, there's 14 days allowed, and that runs with a $3,500 per day incentive disincentive up to a maximum incentive of $10,000. And then there's also the crossing of Wilson Avenue, which runs with the same incentive disincentive, as well as the max incentive of $10,000 for that crossing. Some additional phasing information. The water main work is based, the phasing of the water main work is based on pressure zones. There's 3 pressure zones out in this area. Generally, our vision as we put the phasing together was thinking that someone would start from the south end and work their way to the north. And generally for the water main work, we're envisioning closure of 1 lane of 6th Street to allow for that construction. There's definitely more detailed information in the J sheets within the plans. Then for the general rehab work, we kind of envision widening on the westerly side of the road first, and then then making available the easterly 2 lanes for construction on the easterly half of the road, as well as then having 2 lanes of traffic, 1 each direction on the westerly side, and then that would switch over once the work or the majority of work is done on the westerly side, or on the easterly side. Then you would have the westerly side to do the work. The driveways and side roads need to be maintained open, so kind of looking at maybe being able to do half at a time. And then there's also some kind of special phasing at the 6th Street and 33rd Avenue intersection, as well as the 6th Street and Wilson intersection, and probably need to look in detail at the phasing drawings of the J series to kind of get a better handle on that. It's a little bit tough to explain in the short term here. So that's kind of it on the phasing. For addenda and interpretations, we'd like to see those come at us here 7 days prior to the bid if possible. And you know, the last addenda hopefully would be issued no later than 48 hours before the bid.
I'd say, as far as the addenda, I would preferably like to get it out by the end of this week if at all possible, and no later than Monday, to give bidders time to incorporate the information into their bids. And you know, Monday's obviously got, you know, a project with 187 bid items. That's going to be cutting it pretty close. We do have a couple of items already. One question came up about the size of the sanitary sewer services that are going to have the first 5 feet of a line. We're going to figure out operating the assumption that all those are 4-inch. And we'll clarify that by addendum. The other thing that's gonna, for sure gonna be in the addendum, there's two items for related to a wooden fence to be installed. Turns out the property owners, we're compensating the property owners to install their own fence after the project. So the two items related to the wooden fence, the wooden privacy fence, will be deleted from the bid form. They'll probably still be, we'll just blank those out, you know, in some form. There'll still be 187 listed items, but if you look up into the two of them there'll be a $0 amount associated with them.
Substitutions, again, nothing, just kind of more of a general thing, nothing will be accepted unless it's written in the addendum. And, you know, obviously substitutions can be requested afterwards, but you're at risk of whether or not they would be approved. Demolition, we do have some salvage items relative to the traffic signals, and again, those are spelled out within the special provisions. But some of the things like the cameras and whatnot, the city wants those returned to traffic. Also, for the signs, those should be returned as well to traffic as far as salvage goes. And those are the only two that jump to mind at this point. Owner furnished items. The city is planning to furnish traffic signal poles, and the details on everything that would be furnished with that is covered in the special provisions. As well, the city will be furnishing water valves and hydrants, and I guess the traditional items that the water department does provide for a project typically involving their system. Project meetings, we would envision that you'll have a pre-construction meeting with this, and then there'll be periodic progress meetings during construction. The details of those will probably need to be worked out at the pre-construction meeting or subsequent to that.
I would say at a minimum, we'll probably be doing, we'll have a contract administrator and an inspector, plus myself as the city's project team on this project. It's probably most of you are familiar with that setup. I would say in all likelihood, at a minimum, the meetings will probably be bi-weekly, and it wouldn't surprise me if initially that they're weekly. But again, that's something we will provide you additional information at the pre-con.
Utility coordination and conflicts, I'm going to let Kyle take over on this. He's kind of been working directly with most of the utilities, so he's got the most up-to-date and probably the most detailed information. So,
yeah, for utility relocations, there's a lot out there. We've been working with all the companies individually, trying to get timelines and relocation plans. So I'll go company by company, just a quick synopsis to see where things are at. For the gas lines, Mid-American, they are done with all of the work that they need to do, except for one small relocation. It's on the west side of 6th, from 29th Ave up to the north, across from 28th. And that 2-inch line, they're going to relocate over to the right-of-way line, and that should be happening soon before construction. The overhead lines, the poles are Alliant, and they will be starting soon on a relocation to go underground through the whole corridor. And part of that is the other companies that had lines up on the overhead lines will also be going underground. That would be Mediacom and IMON and Windstream. IMON, we're still working through details with them. Their timeline's a little more up in the air. Mediacom is planning to go into the same underground ducts as Alliant is installing, so they should be working basically right after Alliant gets in there. And then part of Windstream's move to go underground with their overhead lines is to move their fiber. They have some fiber in this corridor, and that'll be relocated as well to get out of the way. For CenturyLink, They have local lines and long lines. The long lines, the national lines, they are still working through their plan. We should have that plan in a week or two, and then they're expecting to do that work before construction starts. The local lines for CenturyLink, they have quite a few conflicts and spot relocations, and we do have an approved plan from them, and we expect them to start relocation as soon as they can. Looking through the rest of the companies here, JCN and Unite, we're planning to relocate simultaneously. A lot of their lines are together, and we are awaiting a timeline on that. We heard they would be starting soon, but haven't gotten a specific date. So it seems like a lot of this work will be happening soon, probably as soon as the weather gets a little bit better for these guys.
The information we have regarding the CenturyLink local lines is that they probably will not, we were told that they can't, because of their internal machinations, they have to need about a 90-day window once they have an approved plan before they can actually start, which means they'll be starting probably around April 1. So there'll be a CenturyLink contractor out there concurrently with the city's contractor. We're planning on issuing with the addendum their approved relocation plan and the list of where we're crossing them or they're crossing us, as the case may be. Then what the plan is to address those individual situations. So we will provide that information via the addendum. It's about a 12-page plan set, 11 by 17, and then a list of a tabulation of the known conflict points. So that way, at least whoever's going to be the city's contractor goes in knowing that information and knowing they have to coordinate with CenturyLink's local contractor.
And there are certain items, say, where CenturyLink maybe wants to be around, say, where they're saying, well, you can pull the cable up or move it, or if the contractor wants them to be part of that operation, or if their plan indicates a need to be part of that operation, they're requesting that they be provided a week's notice prior to when you would expect to be working on in that particular area, so that they can schedule the local guys to be out and to be available to monitor what's going on with their lines. The other, maybe some other special, in the special provisions or some other special provision items, I think we kind of talked on the traffic signal work and the demo that's involved, and kind of spelling out what the city's providing. There's some cured in place liner for the sanitary sewer. The details of that are also spelled out in the special provisions. There's some overlay fabric that we're going to be using to help slow down reflective cracking in what maybe or in a future bike lane. And then thermoplastic pavement markings, again, probably some of the stuff that you guys have seen before. There's also some landscape related items like landscape rock and some fencing and things like that. And then also the specification for the asphalt overlay, there's an interlayer, and we're using the DOT specification for the interlayer, which allows for being paid for the binder as well as the mix itself, and we're kind of doing the same thing. We're using a somewhat new technology for the asphalt surface course, kind of commonly referred to as High Pro, and again using the DOT specification for that, And again, that allows for 2 bid items, one for the binder as well as one for the mix. And those are called out in the project manual. The project manual also includes some geotechnical work that was done on this project several years ago as well. And with that, I'm not sure I had much more to add.
I do have one question since you guys are presumably all plan holders. I'm noticing the reference to the geotechnical report being bound in the project manual, but the copy of the project manual I have does not include that. Was that omitted? Do we need to issue that with the addendum?
Yes, I don't have anything in my project manual on the
Okay.
geotech.
All right, that's apparently something got miscommunicated along the way. So we'll go ahead and include the geotechnical report with the addendum. Thank you. One other thing to add in terms of acquisitions, despite the very short timeline we put our acquisition staff under, we will have all the easements in hand, and a little bit of right of way that we had required at the intersections for the traffic signals. We will have that in hand at the start of construction, so that will not be a holdup. With that, are there any questions?
Maybe, yeah, I was gonna say maybe. Okay.
Okay. There's no questions. We can go ahead and adjourn. We do appreciate your interest in this project. Good luck with preparing your bids. And we'll hopefully see you on the 7th. Well, the bid opening is obviously going to be a phone-in type of thing for the attendees, and that's in quotes. We'll be doing the bid openings here at CSC. It also will be recorded, so that could be people can see it, see the visual on it later. As I indicated at the start, this meeting's been recorded, so, and that will be posted, be visible. You can view that again through the Rapid Tree Production website. So it'll be posted to that, as will the addendum. There's nothing else. Again, thank you. Stay safe and healthy, and drive carefully. Pardon me?
Just said thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Have a good rest of your day.